I think there's something about scars that are beautiful. You know, people oftentimes with physical scars, they'll be embarrassed about them or they don't want to show or whatever. But the scar, if you look at it, it's all about how you look at it. It's a sign of healing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come until it's healed. So like, it may not be the prettiest thing in the world just to look at or to talk about, but it actually is a beautiful thing that represents something that you've overcome. And the devil doesn't want us to tell our stories. Yeah. That's whether he puts shame around it, he puts embarrassment around it. That's your evidence of what's happened in your life. And so I think when we tell those stories, show our scars, get vulnerable about it, every time people share stuff or confess something they're struggling with or tell a backstory or whatever, inevitably somebody goes, oh, me too.
What is going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode with Rhett and Justin right here at Armchair Authentic. It's great to have you back for another conversation. We're stewarding our stories and our relationships in a way that serve you, having real conversations about real life with real people. Now, today you're in for a treat. We welcome one of our good friends, Mark Clement, along for the ride today on the episode. Can't wait to jump into that. But before we do, just always want to take a moment and say thank you to every single one of you who've taken the time to follow us and to comment and to engage with us on social media. Now, if you're new here, hey, could we encourage you? Go to Instagram or Facebook, look us up and follow us. You can find us at Armchair Authentic. That's at Armchair Authentic on both Facebook and Instagram, or you can go on over to X and find us at Armchair Auth Pod. That's Armchair Auth, AUTH Pod, POD. Now, one thing we've been asking all our friends to do, and that is, if you've been enjoying the episodes, could you do us a huge favor? Would you take a moment to copy the link from your favorite podcast platform and text it to a friend? Man, that would mean so much to us. Thank you. All right, as we get ready to kick into this conversation, just want to remind you, sit back, relax, throw up your feet. Let's get ready to have some fun as we sit down with a friend of ours today, Mark Clement. Are you guys ready? Here we go. All right, Justin, today's a lot of fun. We got Mark Clement in the studio with us.
Hey, Mark. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude?
What's up, brothers?
So, Mark's a great friend of ours. We talk about our small group that we do.
Yeah.
Where we hang out with a bunch of these guys. And Mark is one of our buddies who are really, I joke with him because as it keeps growing, I'm like, you're kind of the third unofficial co-leader who's got to help us wrangle some of this stuff because we're growing like crazy and we need to keep it small. So we were having some conversation before we kick off our small group for this semester. So Mark is hanging out with us in the studio today, and whatever we say, it's just going to come out, and we'll see how it goes.
And today we were telling Mark, I said, man, you're a good friend of ours. I mean, we could really treat this episode as a special guest, Mark Clement, on Conversation with Mark about all the things that you do. But we're really trying to come at this from an angle because we're already doing life so much with each other. We're like, what would it look like just to bring one of our friends on here with us and to have just a dialogue conversation that all three of us would naturally have anyway. So
what has he really accomplished that would make it?
You know,
It's kind of the way we could in quotes.
He's our
special friend.
We found Mark on the road the other day. We're like, hey, come on, man, let's throw
him a bone.
Well, what's funny is me and Mark have known each other for years.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, so long ago, me and my wife were like on what would be the equivalent of like Facebook Marketplace now, and we were looking for a couch.
What was it on?
Was it probably Craigslist?
Well, wait, are you telling me you guys met on Marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, it was something.
I think we met on Craigslist.
It was like Craigslist.
Oh my God.
And there was this couch that we saw. We were like, that'll work for our office. And so me and Summer went, worked the deal to make sure that, we could talk him down a little bit. He was probably a hard negotiator. I just know us. We would have tried to talk something down.
So you were already pre-planning before the actual meetup?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like, we were making sure that, is this still available? Would you take this? Yeah, I'll take that. Okay. So we go to his house, get the couch, load it up. But I noticed when I'm looking through the garage, it looked like it was a studio, like musical instruments and just really cool studio equipment. So that got us going. And I'm like, hey man, you play music? Are you an engineer? And he said, yes, kind of all the above. And I just remember walking into your studio.
Yeah.
We see it. It was so cool. You know, of course I learned, you know, that he had like a production studio just with his stuff. He can talk about that too. But we then go home, enjoy our couch, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Rhett, when you and Linda would come from out of town, you probably slept on that because I think it pulled out into a bed, didn't it?
I don't remember the couch.
What year was this?
This would have been like 2005, 2006,
wow. This goes back.
maybe?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know exactly, but it was
a long time ago.
Somewhere in that ballpark for sure. Late to
So you guys didn't become friends from that point moving forward. You just had met and gone your separate ways, and it wasn't until probably Highlands College, Church of the Highlands, that kind of brought the
because we bonded over. I mean, we hit it off. Like, he was a great guy, but I never saw him again for a while. And worship and all this stuff. Well, fast forward a few years, and we don't have to get into all this, but there was a season of my life that I was really far away from the Lord later, and so I'm in that season. This is probably 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
My brother comes into town. He's also a worship guy. He knows Justin from Worship World. He lived in Texas. He was coming in to visit Church of the Highlands.
Great worship leader, by the way.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Michael Clement.
And he was coming in to hang out with you at Highlands and kind of watch what you guys did. He was staying with me. And I wasn't even going to church at the time. And he was like, you want to go with me and just hang out? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to see what they do. So I go, you end up being the host.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we realized it right at first, but at some point in the day, it was like, man, I feel like we know each other. And anyway, one thing led to another, and we made that connection.
You're the guy with the studio that I bought a couch from.
You're the guy that ripped me off on the couch.
Oh no, I got
I was going to ask.
He wasn't going to get ripped off.
Did he get the? Yeah, who
he made us feel like we probably got a deal. It was the win-win, the Dale Carnegie win-win.
That's right. We both won. And so then you fast forward a few more years.
Yeah.
I've come back to the Lord. I've come to the Church of the Highlands. I'm getting involved in worship.
Yeah.
And I run into you, I think at a development night or something. Infuse at the time. Then. It was like, hey, man. And so we just caught up, and then I came and saw you at your office and kind of told you my story. Yeah. And then a couple of years later, when I got enrolled in Highlands College Evening, you ended up being the leader of Evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we really spent a lot of time together, and I was one of your
go-to. Mark was like the go-to guy.
Okay.
Like we would do a meeting every week after to kind of debrief everything. So Mark really was, he was like a central part. He became right-hand man of that whole season. So that was really awesome.
That was fun though. Those were some late nights.
They were.
That was like after
evening. That was my style too.
And after everybody had gone, there was about 10 or 12 of us, and Daniel Baker would get us coffee.
Yeah, he would.
Take an order.
Well, it was funny because me and Rhett started that because back in the day we were playing music, and we would have one night of the week that was like whatever band or whatever music we were writing at the time. We always had one night of the week. It would just go into the wee hours of the night. Like there was no end time. It would start at 6 and we might end at midnight.
Yep.
And then after that, we would go to like TGI Fridays because they were open till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And so for years, there's always been that one night in the week. And I carried that over even into ministry, even at Highlands with the worship teams. We would just have once a month these late night meetings. And it's funny to think now, because I don't know if people really do that. I think it was more of a personality I had, and the team that I had, they just went with it. We'd drink coffee, get snacks, and we would change the world together.
And I would say, I don't know if we necessarily went with it. I don't think we had any other choice if we wanted to be on the team.
Well, you know
because how I did it.
Yeah, Justin led the meeting in a way.
Hey, if you're really committed,
you're committed here.
You'll stay till 11 o'clock on Tuesdays.
Oh, man, I remember some 1 a.m.s, and I'm like, bro, I got 30 minutes to drive to get home.
Because Red has a logistics job.
And then I got to be at the office at like 6:30 the next morning. So all y'all that like today is you're off on Friday, bro. Like, but I was like working full time, and
then Rhett would leave right when it's over at 1 a.m. because he had to get home and go to bed. I'm like, yeah, he just doesn't have the get to.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No,
I never said that,
man.
bro.
I tell you, I look back
You
at
know
that and
I'm
I'm like,
joking.
I would, you know,
There was a grace
There
for
was
that
a season and grace for that, but like now looking at it as a 47-year-old man, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. No, I don't.
But you know what?
There's other ways to be influential. I'm not
Now it's early morning. I'll meet you at 6.
Oh,
yeah,
but I'm not
man.
meeting you at 9 at night.
No, it's a whole new world. I feel like
Well, we were in our early 30s too at that point.
Well, think about it, too.
So you know, it's
Young
different.
men.
Young,
Well, think of-
no
I mean,
kid. Yeah.
before so in 2008,
Yeah.
before that market crash,
Yeah.
things stayed open till like 11 o'clock. Like Barnes and Noble, where this, you know, I know once again we have 500 cities around the country listening to this. Everybody probably relates to a Starbucks or a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
But we have one in Birmingham. It's beautiful. It overlooks our Cahaba Valley. We would meet at this Barnes and Noble and sit out just on the patio or go inside and literally take over the cafe.
Yeah.
But they would stay open late, and that's why we'd be there. So if you think about it, the world's changed so much because around 2009, 2010, to cut budgets, these places began closing at like 9 o'clock. Yeah. And then after COVID, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. We're a Costco kind of family. So we'll feed 6 for under $20, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. A lot of hot dogs and pizza. But we would go do that. And as we're pulling out at Costco, because they close on Saturday nights at 6 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Saturday nights, they close at 6. We're pulling out, and I look over where our big mall is, and it's already closing down. Mm-hmm. So even the mall after COVID has not really recovered. Everything shuts down a lot earlier than it used to. So it was a lot more normal. Like we were talking about Girl Scout cookies a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
There was something in the culture then that made it funny when we made these funny youth commercials.
Yeah.
In the same way, meeting late seemed like a normal thing to do then. It just doesn't seem that way now.
And some of the 20-year-olds that are listening are going, are you kidding me? They're probably naming off all these different places around town that stay open late.
I would love them to tell me.
We're unaware of it now.
But coffee shops are not typically one of them. They're almost always closed at 3 or 4. It's hard to find a coffee shop. Starbucks is probably the exemption. But
they'll close still at like 7 or 8. You'll pull up to that drive-thru and to get a coffee at 7:30 at night. Some people are thinking, really? Yeah, we do, some of us. And they're shut down. So what world is this?
There was that one coffee house over in the south side area of town. I don't think it's there anymore. It's called the Celestial Realm.
I remember the Celestial Realm.
Yes. Well, I'm not speaking to anything that was good about it. It was like the only coffee place we could find.
It was a very interesting environment.
It was very interesting.
It was one of 2 coffee houses.
It was called Celestial Realm.
I know, with a lot of blue lights.
Right.
It had the lava lamps off in the corner. Had like the beads hanging over the doorway where you walk in.
We probably didn't know it was insinuating certain things. So we'd be there every Saturday night among the locals.
They were like, hey, these guys.
Get my cafe mocha. And we just love people. So we're naturally just touchy-feely, like, love you, man. We're hugging people that we're meeting for the first time. And they're like, hey, these guys are pretty great. And so... But there was either Celestial Realm or across the street there was the coffee house.
Yeah, I think they had like a little
coffee house. It was some weird pronunciation.
All I know is I didn't drink coffee at that time yet because I hadn't entered into manhood enough. I guess obviously
I was a man.
I love coffee now.
I was a man.
I would always go in and get the Italian soda. Like I thought I was something special.
You get like some Jones soda.
That Italian soda. Like I thought I was something.
And I would get like a cafe mocha.
It's basically a Sprite that's not a Sprite.
Jones soda was one of them. They were really good.
My son loved Jones soda. He collected all the
bottles
because they have a vibe to them.
Yeah.
There used to be a place in town. This is before like internet was getting big, and it was called Liquid 360. It was in Crestline Village in the city that we live in, and it was an internet cafe. That just sounds so fun to hear that now.
Did you have to pay 25 cents to use the computer?
No, they actually didn't charge you, but you had to have a receipt of a purchase, and you could type in the code. So we would go in and get Jones sodas. Because they didn't really have coffee, I don't believe, but it was like a soda fountain almost. And we'd get Jones sodas. And I mean, I had some crazy laptop. I mean, I don't even know. I'm thinking back, like it was hard to get on.
It's probably a brick.
Like 56K. Like, you've got mail.
Exactly.
Have you seen the interview, that guy, the You Got Mail guy? He's just some, like, I don't know. I think he's in his 70s now.
The voice of
The voice.
What does he do?
You've got mail. Nothing. He's retired or whatever, but I think he got paid. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere like $200-$500 just to record that.
Was there any?
And he didn't get any royalties or anything like that. No, it was like, hey,
Nike
will you record
logo.
this? Will you record this really quick? He's
They
like,
paid her like
you got
$100.
mail.
That's pretty wild.
It's crazy.
It is true. Like the residuals, the stuff, the people who they take the risk and work that in, that this might be successful.
Yeah.
And it might not.
Just
like
think,
you're
if,
saying,
think if he got a penny, just a penny off of every time that thing was said.
Man,
just a penny. Like that's the least you could get paid. Man, he'd be a gazillionaire.
he would have it. He would definitely have it. And it's like you were saying, the Nike swoosh was this lady
Like a
at
college
Nike.
student. Yeah.
Yeah, she
That'll
created
work.
it. Got paid, a couple $100.
Okay, I want to throw something out here, completely shifting gears.
That's not like
I learned
you, Rhett.
something new, and I'm going to ask you a question. When it comes to brushing your teeth, did you know that you're not supposed to rinse your mouth after you brush your teeth? That you're supposed to spit, and you're supposed to leave the fluoride on your teeth. So
did not know that.
my question is, at 47 years old, I just learned this 2 or 3 days ago. I actually saw it come up on like a reel or something, and I was like, "No, man, I got to go verify this, fact check." And I went and fact checked. I was like, "Oh my gosh," like you're. So my question is, so when you brush your teeth, and I'm asking our friends online, when you brush your teeth, do you rinse afterwards?
100%.
Do you rinse, Justin?
I'll brush.
Yeah.
I'll spit it out, and then I put water on the toothbrush and let that be my level of rinsing. But I don't rinse my mouth.
Okay, so everything that the dentist would tell you is that you've just done your teeth no good. You've washed all the fluoride right off your teeth.
Although I've never had a dentist say that.
That's interesting. They need to step that up.
Literally, this is what I was thinking about. So, anyway, so they're like, floss before you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Because I always would brush my teeth and I would floss.
I think most people do, but what you said makes sense.
So you floss before you brush your teeth, and then when you brush your teeth, you're supposed to leave the fluoride in, so you're supposed to spit.
Really?
And keep the fluoride on for at least 20 minutes.
It explains all the root canals I'm
And
having now.
that is, and so to Mark, to your point, think about this for a minute. To your point, I was like, there's an assumption that as a grown adult, we're supposed to know this, but I'm paying you as a doctor to inform me of this. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not throwing my dentist under the bus, but I've never in the history of going to the dentist have ever had anybody tell me, they're like, well, you need a floss. They don't really teach you how to floss.
yeah, they just ask, do you?
Do you?
Do you know why?
That's it.
And they don't tell you how to brush your teeth. They say you need a better toothbrush.
Or they tell me a lot, you need to floss. Yeah. And every time I'm like, I promise I'm going to start flossing.
Oh, brother.
And
We've
I think
had this
about
conversation.
I think about you too, because you started flossing 2 or 3, 4 years ago.
2021, I started flossing for the first
and
time.
you've
And I've
become
always
so
did. Yeah,
good
I
with
was
it.
like, I'm going to
Not
do this.
me.
I'm going to create this healthy habit. I put the floss out beside me, and I would just do it every day and just stick to it and have a small win that was turned into a big win for me in other
I need
areas.
to get that.
But I just thought that was interesting. So I literally, for the past 2 days after I've read, I was like, all right, here we go. I want to try this.
trying it?
Yeah. And so I would spit, and then I was like, okay.
Keep this film on my mouth.
But you ready for this? It's all gone. When you spit it all out, I know this might be gross, and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make this
people are
gross.
loving this,
But if you
Rhett.
think about this
Might
for a minute,
be.
when you spit and you don't rinse, all of a sudden you're like, well, I thought there would be residue. I thought there'd still be toothpaste in my mouth, but there's not. And I'm like, this is okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, usually I would just rinse and spit it all out. And it's like, there's pointless. You got the food off your teeth, but the fluoride is not doing its work. So
Do you know why the dentist doesn't tell you?
I could assume.
Because the hot dog company is in cahoots with the bun company, and they make packs of 8 hot dogs with 10 buns. Remember that scene?
Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Martin.
He's not wrong, by the way.
No, he is not
He's not.
wrong. Yeah, because that's frustrating enough when you go to buy hot dogs. You're like, seriously, you're going to force me to do this?
By the way,
Yeah.
we went and had a grill out, and it was a few months ago, and I actually found 8 hot dog buns.
No.
8 hot dogs.
I don't believe it.
I took a picture.
No.
It's on my phone somewhere. I'm going to find it because I almost like Instagrammed
Where were
Steve
you?
Martin just to see if he would even.
Were you at the Value Mart where the bread is like
This is a
outdated
Publix.
and
Publix.
people have already opened it and kind of moved stuff
Yeah.
around for you? And
This is Publix,
think
right?
about that for a minute, though. Like, we put a lot of trust in the bread as if nobody's opened it.
Yeah, they
Do
don't
you
really
count the
seal that.
slices? They don't seal it. Interesting.
Well, I do look for an
point.
even
All
number.
they do, I mean, really? I mean, come on. I don't know.
Well, now
Anyway.
you got everybody checking. Everybody's going to be counting
How many
those
slices
hot dog
of bread are
buns.
supposed to be in a loaf of bread?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer to that? I don't
How many
either.
slices? I
So
don't
where
know.
is our accountability to the bread people? That shouldn't they put like a little, like more of a like a something you can't just peel off and open and eat the free.
I think it's
Well, plus it's just plastic. I mean, you could just cut right through it,
and
or
grab
stick
a
a
piece of
needle
bread.
through it, or it's not exactly secure.
Well, there we go.
It's true. I mean, it's not
that's-
sealed by any. You can't. It's not sealed in any way, shape, or form.
Is not.
So if you were
So
hungry,
there's a
you could-
lot of
you could grab
trust.
that.
Yeah, there's a lot of trust there. It's like
Or we've just given a bad person a really good idea.
Or it's the,
I hope
or it's
not.
the free grapes. You know, they have free grapes. You walk through the produce aisle and they're free
People
grapes.
try
You're just
'em.
sitting there. You just
You just let the mist that's already hitting the produce,
I
and
do
you wash the grape
eat
off.
grapes that are in my cart. I have done that.
Oh, in your
As
cart?
I'm
Yeah.
walking.
okay.
I'm
yeah,
gonna
that's
pay
so
for
by,
them.
by the
Yeah,
time you
you
get
got the
like 5
receipt.
grapes off, you've saved yourself like 5 cents because they weigh those, right?
No, it's a barcode.
Yeah, it's
okay.
like when I go to Buc-ee's, we go there to eat, but there are no tables to eat. So we open the we're the family, we park right in the center of the store. And there's like 6. If my dad and my brother go, there's 8 of us. And we're all surrounding this tiny buggy. And when we eat the sandwich, we'll rip the receipt off, lay it in the basket, and we're there eating our sandwiches.
Okay, so for those in context, we've talked about Buc-ee's a long time ago. If you're in the North or Midwest or West, you probably don't know what a Buc-ee's is. It's like 125 gas pumps, and it's like a Walmart, Target had met, like
Cracker Barrel.
all kind of stuff. And it's amazing to me, and it's interesting you bring out that point because I would have never noticed that until you said it. But like droves of people. I mean, talking like sometimes it can take you 30 minutes to get in and 30 minutes to get out.
Yeah.
But there's droves of people. And so within all the shop and all the food, and they got all kind of candies and food and barbecue and name it, Swiss roll, like everything, cinnamon rolls, like this is good stuff.
So good, man.
Not one table you can stay in and sit.
There's something about the
Interesting.
energy. They want you
Turnover, man.
standing
They're
up.
And if you're
Flow through there.
it really is, but I wonder if it was always that way because I mean, like if you're creating a culture and you're creating a business, you're thinking, yeah, I mean, it's people coming in, but like it's like gourmet food. I mean, you're talking like, well, gourmet for a gas station, but it's really not. I mean, like
It's great.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's
barbecue
super
on the
clean.
bobby.
Yeah, and people go there for the bathrooms because it's like you want a high end restroom.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Great
what brings
restaurant.
you.
Gas, though. The gas is always the best price.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know. If I'm sitting around a business table and I'm dreaming up an idea, I'm thinking, guys, we got all this food. Why aren't we like creating some kind of culture for people to hang out and stay in the store?
Well, maybe it's in the development plans, or maybe
Interesting.
it's their
Yeah.
way of keeping the traffic flowing. And when you're standing up, maybe it's like, well, I'm going to go grab some of these M&Ms.
I think there's so
I'm
many
gonna go
people who are
grab
going to
some.
take it in their car.
I mean, yeah.
'Cause, I mean, it's a gas station.
It's a,
And if they linger, you're going to have them lingerers
Yeah.
that are lingering in a chair.
that's true.
But it is a
take
thing
up
because it's not
product
far
space.
from where
No.
we are right now, but I don't live near here.
Yeah.
So
10 minutes down the
whenever
road.
we're coming this direction, we always are like, do we
Yeah.
need gas? Let's go to, because
Yeah.
you want to get the,
here's what
you'll
I'm
save,
tempted.
What, 20, 30 cents a gallon compared to most? It's usually pretty significant.
It's usually at least 20 cents. Yep.
I
But it
think
is-
we
it is
should
massively
consider when we close shop right now, in a few minutes, do we go eat at Buc-ee's?
I'm good. No, I'm good.
I don't really care for their food, honestly. I
mean,
know people love it. But
people love it.
I don't
Well, y'all
like
can
it.
go get the table straight at small group. I might stop by Buc-ee's.
I still
and
can't
get me a
believe. I
little
still can't
brisket.
believe they have their own little like Buc-ee the Beaver, or Disney moment at the gas station. It just
got
blows.
to.
Have
It
you been?
works,
Have you
though.
been there when they showed the mascot? They come out. I'm talking. You got hundreds of
I've
people
heard about
waiting
it.
in
I've never
line
seen it,
to
yeah.
take a picture with Buc-ee.
They
I
are
don't
selling
know.
I love Buc-ee.
bathing suits and
I
beach
mean,
towels and
it's-
umbrellas and
It's a
crazy.
thing.
They
It's
got
a
everything.
thing.
Well, I got tons of. We have like the stuffed animals like around our house. Like I say, I got still a couple of younger kids, but we also, as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, we have a dog now, or we have for I guess the past 8
The
months.
dog that you share.
It's almost
with
been
the
a
other
year.
family.
But we don't anymore. We have officially taken custody. We have custody.
Hey,
this is news for everybody.
I
Well,
haven't heard this.
I'm a bit personal. I don't talk about a lot of stuff like that, so I'm kind of now saying it out loud.
And the people that listen to this podcast are like, "What do you mean you don't open up?
Okay.
You've opened up about a lot of things."
Well,
Clarify
there-
that.
And also,
so-
they're definitely going to want to know, what does it mean to share a dog?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So we've not been a dog family. We've never been ready. We love dogs, but we've never been ready to make the commitment. And we're stepping into this April's 25 years of marriage. So a long time, no dog, but we love dogs. We love going to people's house. Rhett, I love getting to come pet, his dog Molly. It's great, but then I don't have to deal with the responsibility. Well, we actually randomly were looking up dogs one day, and we found a family who she's such a great worker, just has a very demanding job. Kids are very athletic. They're out a lot doing these travel squads. And she was just looking for someone to kind of let's just split some time. You take the weekend, I'll take the week. And it was almost like she laid out the Bradshaw desire that no one ever would. No vet fees, no food fees. She'll provide everything. So we took this dog, beautiful, white golden retriever. His name's Lido. So cool. And so we love him. So, he's trained, all this stuff. It's like we're getting our cake and eating it too. Yeah. We fell in love with this dog. And it was one of those things of kind of swapping up more and more. She knew our boys loved him, and she knew they're giving him some great attention and care. Long and short of it is, we kind of had this, do we take him on full time? Because she was open to let that happen. And we had already fallen so in love with him that it was hard to actually not see him in our life anymore. And so we took him. And the vet bills come with it.
The whole time.
The food bill.
Ourselves.
It's kind of like, hey, this gives
everything.
The baths. It's like she's getting free childcare, and then the family that's doing the free childcare falls in love with the kid and is like, hey, can we have your kid? And you're like, sure, why not? I've raised 10 of them.
I was hoping you asked.
So that was our story, and he feels like he's a part of our family.
Yeah, they're sweet.
And
he's a sweet dog.
He's amazing. And the cool thing is, if we go somewhere, she'll love to catch up with him. And so at least now there's potential free boarding.
That's worth something.
And so the practical people are thinking about it. Are you kidding me right now? What a blessing. You hadn't had to pay for any vets, none of that. Like, you got through the hard part, which is the puppy phase. The puppy phase, which is fun, but there's a price to pay for it.
It's perfect.
And you're just like, hey, man, I got this perfectly great, healthy dog that's been taken care of. All I got to do is feed it, breeder, and take them out. And
great breeder.
Yeah.
Some I'll tell you, we would have never been looking for. I'll tell you that. All the shots, prepping him, training, send him.
Sure.
We always joke that he got sent to the academy because when he does bad things, we remind him like, Lido, you're an academy graduate. Don't do that.
It's a thing. Our dog is 4. He just turned 4 a couple months ago. Yeah, and we've had him since he was a puppy, and he's finally
sweet pup.
I literally said to my wife the other day, he's finally the dog I wanted. Like he's calmed down. Yeah, you've been with him. He's very easy. He's very obedient.
Moses.
He's very easy. It's like, okay, finally, because we had gates up for like up until 6 months ago. We had gates up to keep him in the certain part of the house. He didn't tear up anything, but he would just get on stuff and shed on it. Yeah, and I hated those gates. And it was like, finally took the gates down. It's like, but it was a big price to pay. to get to this point. Now it's like, okay, it's worth it, but I would not. We would not do it again. I wouldn't do another puppy.
There's an etiquette I'm learning because I've never had to know it, but like going and walking the dog, like I'll go walk him, and if you were to picture my first couple of months, I knew to take the doggy bag where if he has to go to the bathroom, I can clean it up. But I'd just take him to every yard. He'd just pee. No. It was kind of the normal thing. I didn't realize that kills grass. Yep. Had no idea until I let him do it in my yard. And I'll wake up in a couple of weeks, I've got this brown spot, and we take care of our grass. And I'm like, what in the
liquid acid?
And it makes me.
I found out
when people do that in our yard.
Yeah, I never knew.
Walkable neighborhood.
Yeah, we did too.
Like, for the love,
never knew.
Like, so there's woods right there. Like, take him in the woods. Or
I take him on his walks. I've learned every place in my neighborhood. Now I don't. I don't even clean stuff up. Let me just go ahead and admit, I've learned every place I can take them to the bathroom where I don't have to use a bag.
Our neighborhood has alleys.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the business happens in the alley. Oh, man. Back alley.
You gotta know this flow for it. But what I've noticed too is not even just us owning a dog, but when we put our garbage out, if you keep it out, like sometimes we're just so busy, I might keep it an extra day where it's still out front and I haven't drug it back yet.
People will put the bags in there.
It annoys me, Mark.
Well, you're talking about the radio.
People yesterday. They'll take their little doggy bag
and put it in your trash can
while they're on their walk, and they'll dump it in there, and it stinks like oh my gosh.
I heard a radio show yesterday.
How rude!
Somebody called in and they were asking, "Is that okay or not?"
No,
and the guys on the show basically said it's okay if it's full of garbage and you know it's about to get picked up probably that day or whatever, that's fine. But not if it's empty or whatever.
Yeah, let's put it at the very bottom and let everything just stack on top of that over.
That's what happened to ours. And it had that smell that even once the garbage man dumps it out, it smelled for months.
Yeah, that's when you pour Clorox in the bottom of it and
me
just
off.
Yeah.
I mean, one day people just got happy. I literally, in one day that I'm gone to work, the garbage man comes. That night I get it. It was a beautiful day. People, I guess, are walking their dogs. I had like 6 bags in there of different colors. Like you had a blue bag. So I knew they were different people.
Oh my gosh. I just felt everybody click off the episode right now from being disgusted.
So we've talked about flossing and spitting.
Stay with us, guys.
And
Stay with us.
Waste.
Yeah, I know. Hey, but okay, so when we were
Thanks for
talking.
inviting me to this.
You're
episode.
welcome. Hey,
you're welcome.
Hey, Mark,
you brought this out of it.
You're really getting the best of our conversations right now.
I will say
man.
though, when we were talking about Buc-ee's not having seats, something that's changing up though is if you think about what made Starbucks so endearing to the people to want to come in, because they built their brand off. We're second place. We're the second place.
Third place.
Is it third place?
Third place, yeah.
Yeah, because your first one's home, then work.
Yep.
This is your So they wanted the third place experience where you can have your office, a hangout spot, whatever it is. So they always encouraged you to come and linger. They wrote your names on the cup, and they even, what they didn't realize is even how it endeared people to it when they would misspell names. Like it's all the stuff, all the notes. Well, around 2008, I remember reading an article where they're going to become like the next McDonald's.
Hey friends, want to interrupt our conversation just for one moment to say thank you so much for joining us today, and also ask if you are enjoying this podcast. Could you do us a huge favor? Would you take a moment, pull the car over to the side of the road? If you're sitting at a red light, copy the link from your favorite podcast platform and send it to a friend. Text it to a friend. If you're in the office, airdrop it to a friend right now. Encourage somebody, put a smile on their face, and let them be a part of this conversation. All right, guys, it really means so much. It really does. Thank you for doing that. Okay, let's get back to the conversation.
They're going to become like the next McDonald's. Remember, Starbucks used to not have a lot of food items. They might have some of the coffee cakes, lemon loaf, stuff like that. Around 2009, 10, 11, 12, you started seeing that boost up. And now all we know is like you go to Starbucks, you get coffee, you get food, anything you want. They self-serve everything. And so they now are realizing they're losing. They shifted away from that third place.
Yeah, I read an article recently.
And they're seeing that it's affecting their brand.
Yeah, the whole model went to the drive-thru. That was sort of their thing. That was geared toward that.
They brought in chairs that weren't as comfortable.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to get you not to stay.
Yeah.
Fewer chairs, fewer tables.
Yep. Closer together.
I remember going into one when I hadn't been in a while, and I was like, this is weird. Like but they're flipping back because they've realized they've killed. Well, I mean, they're still doing fine, but relative to their growth,
for their growth in the next season, because people are gathering again. Yeah. I mean, for a few years now. And there's so many
more coffee shops to go to.
Yeah,
they had the corner on the market literally for years, and now it's like
they did.
You got. I choose Starbucks usually when we're on the road because you can trust. It's a chain, so you trust them to be consistent. Yeah. And it's drive-through.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best coffee.
No.
It's good. It's consistent.
Fine.
It's like going to Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's great, but it's consistent wherever you go. You can trust the brand is going to.
I'm not drinking that one. I don't drink it black. I put some stuff in it.
I've tried a couple of times. Like, this is gross. Yeah. You got to milk it up.
Though, I rarely go to one. Like our small group meets there.
Yeah.
But I don't usually pick that to go meet somebody. There's 14 other places.
Yeah, because you live on the bougie side of town.
That's true.
So you got all the bouge around. I live in Homewood.
Yeah.
He lives on the moon. The moon over Homewood. You don't know. There's this big statue called the Vulcan, and it's it represents a time in the city when it was iron,
the industry,
the industry of iron. We're also known as the Pittsburgh of the South, like the Steel City. And so Vulcan, I guess, represented a steel god or iron god or whatever. And so,
something like that.
Yeah. So, he lives over in Paganville. I'm just kidding. And so The back side, so the front side of this thing, if you can't visually see me, like look it up, Google Vulcan, Birmingham, Alabama, sits on top of Red Mountain, which I think it's funny that we call that a mountain. It's a molehill. It's basically a hill.
Careful.
You go out west, you're like, that's a mountain. You come over here like, that is not a mountain, dude. That is a hill. It's beautiful. I love it. But anyway, it sits up on top of this, what we call a mountain in Alabama. And the front side with his face, and he's got his arm lifted. You know, it used to have a light on the top.
Yep.
And I remember it used to have a light where it would be green or red. Yep. And at least, I don't know if this is true.
It is.
But when it was green, I think there was nobody died or something.
No one died.
That's it.
No traffic fatalities.
And then when it was red, somebody died in the state or the city, on the highways. On the highway. Yeah.
Because whenever we would come into town from holidays, we'd go out of town to see family, and we'd come back through. And every time my dad, because you can see it all over the city, because it's the only high point. Everything else is flat, and you can see it from miles away. And he would always comment on, "Oh, someone must have passed away."
We did the same thing.
So okay, I'm glad that wasn't just a thing my dad made. All right, like so. Anyway, but on the back side of this thing, this guy's wearing like an uber short like cheerleader skirt, and so on the back side of this dude that's fully built. It's the moon over Homewood, so you use your imagination. But anyway, the guy is fully exposed on the back end.
Anything in the back?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like it's almost maybe it's a loincloth on the front.
It's not. Yeah.
So so Mark lives on the Mark lives over in Homewood, the bougie side of town that's got the butt over Homewood, the moon over Homewood. Yeah. Anyway, but so you've got the options. We just got a Starbucks over here in Moody, so we're not bougie, but we've got. Yeah, we've got our nice
that other place that you're boycotting that you won't go back to.
I'm
so
never going back to Seven Brew.
Okay,
no,
you did.
I'm not doing that again. So
I've never heard of that. Where's Seven Brew?
Seven Brew is a very popular up and coming thing. I'm obviously not their demographic, or maybe I am. I don't know. But the last time I went through, like some 16, 17-year-old girls like, "Hey, cutie, what you want today? Hey, honey." I'm like, that's just so awkward. I am old enough to be your great granddad. This is weird. I was like, I told Linda, I was like, I'm never coming back here again. Coffee was okay, but it was just this fast-paced drive-through type, type Dutch Bros kind of feel.
They got their style where it's all about relationship. It's like going to Buc-ee.
Yeah,
at the mall, like they build relationship with you. It's like, yo, it's good. Maybe I'll see you at a concert this weekend.
Yeah, what are you up to today, man? Where you going? Hey, what's happening?
Definitely, like,
what's the next thing that's happening 30 seconds from now? Hey, can I sit in your car? Like, it's like this whole feeling of like way over the top. And if that's their thing, that's great. I'm obviously not their demographic, but they have they planted in that demographic though. That's the thing. It's like, come on, man, you gotta, this is Moody, Alabama.
How Starbucks though is getting personal again. They're bringing back the Sharpie.
Yeah, dude, I got one on the cup the other day.
Did you really? Okay,
well, not on this one.
I heard it's going to be
because now it's printed on the label, right?
Yeah, it's printed, but they learned that there's something about the natural writing, the writing a note like you got this, misspelling your name, all these things outweighed having the quick computer who just prints
it out. Let's talk about that for a second. It's interesting you mentioned that because when I went through the other day, the coffee cup said "made with love" and then it had exclamation point, heart, whatever. And I was like, I don't know who made this, but that actually put a smile on my face. And I was like, well, there's care in that. And I know it's something so simple, but I didn't feel like just another number coming through the drive-thru.
In the psyche.
And then one of my buddies I'm starting to, befriend over at this Starbucks is JC. Shout out to JC again. That's 2 shout outs for you, bro. You listen to this podcast. But he put, "What's up, big homie?" He wrote that on the cup. I was like, well, I appreciate it, man.
You're like, well, keep it homie.
I mean, homie's fine. Just don't call me cutie and sweetie pie and honey.
Don't call me big homie.
Hey, big's fine. I'm fine with that.
You like it when people call you Big Papa.
No. Oh man,
what was that? I remember that
there's
skit.
some song.
Saturday Night Live.
Notorious B.I.G.
There's a song. There's
but
a song in there
Saturday
somewhere.
Night Live skit that like Will Ferrell did. I love it when you call me Big Papa. It's just
man,
it's so funny when Will does that.
Moving right along.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Nate Bargatze SNL skits where he's George Washington. It's just so good.
My wife showed me a video the other day of him in Nashville where he lives. And he was at some kind of Christmas nativity play thing.
Oh, it's so good.
Did he show up as the angel?
He's the angel. He is.
He is the angel.
But they're asking him all these questions, and it's
the George Washington skit turned into the nativity scene.
So why are we singing about? Why is there a Christmas tree?
Yeah, he's just
We're
making
gonna
up things.
celebrate with a tree.
We will
It's that
celebrate the birth of Jesus by putting trees in our living room. And they're like, but I'm confused. And then it's like Mary saying something. He's like, there will be many songs made about you, Mary. And Joseph's like, and
me?
will there be songs made about me? He's like, and there will also be. And he moves to another subject.
Yeah, there's zero
It's really
songs about
funny.
Joseph.
But the Washington, the skit too is funny where he's talking about we will name animals by their name when they're alive, and they'll have a different name when we eat them. We will now officially refer to like cow as beef. Yeah. And what was his other one? I forget.
I don't remember.
It was like,
it's been a long time.
It was like cow as beef and pig as pork. And they were like, well, what about chicken? And he's like, that one stays. And he's like, but I am happy to let you know that hot dogs will not be made of hot dogs. Well, what are they made of? No one knows.
No one knows.
It's such that was such a good skit, man. But yeah, so it started as we were talking about the whole Starbucks experience and all these different things with Buc-ee. So I mean, now I'm getting hungry and I'm wanting Buc-ee's. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
What do you get when you go? What's
I get the
go-to?
I'll either get the sliced like a pork,
The brisket or
the brisket.
You get the sliced pig.
yeah, sliced pig, sliced
Sliced
pork.
cow.
Yeah,
You get the brisket.
Oh yeah, love that brisket. And then sometimes you got to get that fudge too. Get them to get you a sample.
I had
Oh,
to
are you kidding me? They give you
sample.
samples?
Oh yeah, it's like
man.
old school, man. Go get there and give Ed.
It's like you walk in.
have you seen what they pay their people?
Oh, a lot of
Yes.
money.
It's insane.
Oh yeah,
It's on the gas pump.
it's like 135,000 to be like some kind of this manager, and then it's like 150 to be this.
I don't know if they work like dogs or
Oh,
how
they have to.
They have to.
They
Of course,
have
it's
to.
generating crazy money, but I can't. It's shocking how much they pay.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Like
Well,
it makes you go.
I can see you in a Buc-ee shirt. I can see you in a Buc-ee shirt.
Oh,
Mark.
hey, that's my crowd.
You would kill that place at Buc-ee's.
Commuting from Homewood over to.
You could do
Those
that.
are my people.
I mean, to afford Homewood, Mark
yeah,
Mark
yeah.
might have to be able to work at Buc-ee's. It pays like that because he's bougie.
You got to give it to them on their process, man, because every time you walk in there, it feels like everything
it's a machine.
It's like, everything is there. It's like they're never out of anything.
Yeah.
You walk in and there's more than enough of everything, and it's super clean. Everything is in order, which creates comfort, right? It's excellent, which is amazing. And I've never walked in there like, oh man, we're out of that. Not once.
No,
Not
they got
once.
it all.
It's like and so if you sit back on the wall and you just watch, and you see how all those employees, I mean, they are trained and they know what they're doing, and they look like they're having a lot of fun.
Oh man,
They really do. Now, either they're like, we pay you a lot of money, you better put a smile on your face, like Disney type stuff. Before you walk out of this room, look in the mirror, put a smile on your face. But whatever they're doing,
Either way,
working.
it's good leadership, though.
It is
It's
great
training
leadership.
their people, getting everybody on the same values and what we do. I mean, that's powerful, and it works.
There was a kid walking out of the back, stocking stuff, and I said, "Hey, man, do you enjoy working here? I'm really honestly, I'm curious. Do you enjoy it?" And he kind of stopped. He looked around. He was like looking up, like he's looking at to see if any
The cameras.
like the cameras are on. I'm like, if you could see his eyes, just do kind of a pan, like, where's the microphone? But yeah, I love it, man.
Save me.
It's like, like, will you help me?
They probably have
I'm
people
trapped.
doing that. They probably have
I bet they
plants,
do.
like secret shoppers,
Yeah.
And maybe he
Yes,
thought
that's
I
right.
was one, but I wasn't. I was like, no, I really want to know because I might want a job here. Yeah. that was in that season of like, oh God, what's going to happen next? I don't know, but I'll work at Buc-ee's. I don't care.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong
I'll
with
be the guy
Buc-ee's at
that
all.
puts on the Buc-ee suit.
Oh,
I'll be
Brett,
the
you
Chuck
would
E.
kill
Cheese of
that.
Buc-ee, man. I'd have so much
You
fun.
would, man. You would. Brett would dominate being
Yeah,
Buc-ee.
you would. Because
I'm just too
Because
tall.
Rhett's the guy when you go to get coffee.
Yes.
Like where we go for our group.
Yeah.
If you don't get behind him in line, because he will stand there and talk to the people behind the counter for a long
The
time.
conversationalist.
And I was literally talking about this to my wife the other day. We were talking about personality stuff, and that is not who I am. That's it's just not.
How are you? How are you then? What's your personality, Mark?
polite and kind, but it's the rare person that I make that connection with, because I know, like, I'm never going to see you again. Like, it's
Right.
just-
Well, see, but that's
it's
the
just not
difference between
mine.
that coffee house, though. We've had three
little
small
bit.
groups there, and we know these people
little
now,
bit.
and I don't want them to be
But let's
just.
don't
Yeah.
kid ourselves. You do that everywhere.
I don't know.
It's who you are, and
Yeah,
it's a great,
I
it's a
guess
great
so.
trait.
I agree
I
with
just
that.
don't have it.
I
don't
do-
have
I
that.
do agree. I
My
think
wife
the
has
wiring
it.
is
She's
completely
great.
different.
She'll talk. People
Yeah.
will cry and talk to her and tell her their life story.
Wow.
Like in 5 seconds.
That is true,
It doesn't
though.
happen with me. I'm a got to get to know you guy, and then they love me, but they don't love me at honest. They don't.
And so our listeners are going, yeah, we're going to need a couple more episodes to see whether or not we want Mark back on this.
Do we like him or not?
Well,
he's mean. Rhett's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he did say he's kind.
I'm a deep pool.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Treasures at the bottom.
There's a lot to learn about this guy.
There really is. And you know, I do, first of all, you're getting the conversation end of us just hanging out with a friend. But the truth is, man, you're a great leader. And tell us what your business is right now, though. I mean, as far as what you do, let's go there just for a second so people kind of get an idea of kind of what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
Sponsor time.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
We're invoicing him later.
The bottom line is there will be an invoice sent to your agency for this plug.
So you choose how much airtime this is about.
However
to get.
much,
So
yeah,
go for
yeah,
it,
it is per second. Yeah.
Every word you say, me and Red are like, ching.
Yeah. So
we're gonna move from Aquafina to Fiji water.
Right. The bougie. Speaking of bougie.
oh man.
No, I appreciate it. I own a marketing and creative agency, and we do a few different things. We do marketing and creative. We do a lot of video production and branding and websites and anything in that creative space, marketing space. And then we have a component of coaching. So I do a lot of business development coaching. We have a service called Dream Year, and we coach people through to fulfill their dream or get it started. A lot of people don't know how to start their thing.
Yeah.
They have a big idea. They have a passion, a dream. We always say, the normal saying is you can't see the forest for the trees. We say you can't see the trees for the forest. They have this big idea and they see the whole forest and what it could be, and they just don't know quite how to start. And so I'm this kind of weird left brain, right brain guy. So I get the creative and the dreaming and the romance of it and the passion. I get all that, but also know that a successful dream is a spreadsheet with skin on it. The math has to work, unless you just have a lot of money that you can throw at something. So I help people kind of marry those two things together, walk them through the process. We call it going from dream to do to done. So usually we can do that in a compressed time frame, or typically we'll do it over a 12-month time frame, and just walk them through all the steps and the practicalities. And if you're a nonprofit, you got to get your 501c3 and you've got to get a board. And if you're starting a business, if you're starting a ministry or writing a book, or we've helped a guy do his first short film, put a system and a process to their dream. And so we do a lot of that. And then we also do coaching with people who are typically small business owners who are looking to scale or grow, and they're kind of stuck in a rut, or they've started something that's really going well, but they're kind of doing it all themselves. How do I get to the next level? We help people do that. And then we also have a kind of tied into with this. We have a software as a service that we offer that's a full CRM with, you can manage your whole business through this software with our full support, and help you do stuff, build your website in there, and do your socials, and do your money, and do your CRM and all that. So those are the three kind of prongs of our business, what we do.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think it does bring some context to the leader that you are around this table. But I think the common thread here for me in our relationship when we met was this worship and the pastoral type leadership within the church, but that creative element too. Because all three of us are creatives. So it's always been a common theme. In fact, you and I, which blows me away. I was thinking about this last night, and I think it's ridiculous. It's great. I love it, but it's also ridiculous. And that is, you and I, Mark, we have led worship together at least 2 times, one in a church in Alabama, and the other one, we went up and served a church in Montana together, and leading worship as well as preaching and those kind of things. And I'm over here with my best friend, Justin, who we grew up doing this kind of thing forever. And I've been here, in Alabama almost for 2 years now, I think, and we haven't done it once. Not one time.
Well,
so
I'm
just
like
want you to know,
I'm playing a little hard to get.
This playing a little hard to get. Don't think it's not because I haven't asked the brother.
What's funny about it is,
I'm just saying, man.
Like we told the story, I've known you for 20 years almost, right at 20 years ish, and then I've heard about. I heard you talk about Rhett. Didn't know who he was. Yeah. Never met him. He lived in Idaho. Then Linda moves back and works with me at the Highlands College for a couple of years, or a year maybe before you came back. You were kind of like this fan. Like, are you really married? Do you really have a husband? Like,
that is true.
Never saw him.
It's so weird.
The phantom Rhett.
Then I met you independent of Justin, not through Justin, through your wife and my wife, and we had dinner and got to know each other. and then got to know you guys together, but I knew you separately.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird kind of triangle.
It really is.
And you and I have a commonality with just some personal family stuff that we've gone through in our own journeys too, that we opened up. And I'm not going to go there today, but and that kind of just brought us like, wow, music, worship, church, pastoral, church planning, leading entrepreneur, creative. And I was like, this is a new best friend in my life, man.
Well, I think what's cool is
my whole goal is just to become the third.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to work my way.
You're being auditioned right now.
Just trying to work my way in there.
We're grading you.
We've traveled together. We've slept in a hotel.
Yeah.
We've been in a room together.
Yeah, clarify that, please.
We've gotten to know each other. Like, it's
for
really
for those
crazy.
new to our podcast, if
when
you
you're
listen to a recent episode, this is the Mark that Rhett had talked about. They traveled to Montana together and another church.
Mark has, you're getting close to somebody when they wake up the next morning like, did I snore? And I was like, nah.
No, but you do got film on your teeth where you brushed.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Which is evidently a good thing.
It is a really good thing.
But one thing I remember, and that's what makes it really, really cool, is when, me and Mark were getting to know each other more.
Yeah.
In some of the Highlands College days and Highlands worship, when you were still in Idaho, there were things I would begin to learn about Mark. And I just thought, God, Rhett would love this guy. So we'd talk about Rhett. And for you guys now, I mean, it's normal.
It's cool.
Y'all are doing things. I'm not even in the picture. And for me, that's that rewarding deal of, it's cool to see new friends align and have true commonality. And then to have us doing the small groups together, we naturally have our life together. We'll do our own separate lunches, but then we come together even at a table like this. It's fun because it didn't happen 2 years ago. And now look at this.
Well, and the cool thing too is like you guys, for me, have been there at some key moments. Like Justin, you were there when I came back to the Lord. You were there when Jen and I got married. You were you were there at HC with me. You handed your job to, I took your job when you left. And there's been some big moments of that. And then you guys came in later. You've been with me through other parts of my life, through transitioning out of that job back into business and small group together. And there's been a lot of conversations, a lot of sharing, a lot of wisdom imparted, me to you guys, of course, but
that's it.
But just a lot of sharing and caring and texts and follow ups, and because as grown men and any man out there listening to this, I guess the women would know it too. But like men, it's hard to have close friends as a guy. It's not possible, but most guys I found don't open up to that. I think we're probably unusual that way. We all probably have a lot of acquaintances and a lot of friends because we're open to that, and we'll share our story and we'll talk. We'll do it. But like a lot of guys don't reciprocate when you meet them, even if you feel like you have something in common. It's hard to get them to open up. So to meet you guys individually and now together and have that, it's rare. It's very rare to have that. There's I can count on probably my two hands the number of people in my life that I have that level of openness with in relationship, not because I'm not willing to be open. It's just hard to find people who'll be open with you. It is.
And then to find those connect points, not everybody can just go there. And to have some of that, we've talked about it before, that divine flow a little bit that really enhances the opportunity to grow in a relationship.
Well, and I know this is kind of a common theme. It will always be that way. Is Armchair Authentic is really centered around relationships and how life change happens in relationships. Everything that's good, and I could say everything that's bad happens with relationships too. But leaning on the good side of things, the beautiful thing here was that you guys have already had the invested in relational equity, if you will, over time. And because of our relationship, Justin, and the equity we have, and because of Justin and Mark's equity, when you began to say, "Oh, you need to get to know Mark," and I was hearing that, I was already basing it off of, all right, well, of course, I value what Justin has to say, because of our friendship, and so I was like, absolutely. And I don't know, I feel like you said the same to Mark. And so when that opportunity presented itself, we both made the decision to do that, probably based off that equity. And then once we made the decision. I think it always comes back to a choice, right? But you have to make the decision. It didn't happen overnight. I think we ran into each other a couple times at a staff meeting at Highlands College. And then next thing we know, we're like, hey, let's try to plan a dinner or something with our families. And that took months before that happened. And then it just slow rolled. But what are we, 2 years?
Well, because our wives were friends before we were, and our sons were friends. My stepson, your son were friends because they were hanging out in the summer at Highlands College with their moms. And so when so that it was like a natural thing. And I remember when we had dinner the first time, I remember I said to Jen afterwards, like, I can't remember the last time I met a guy that likes to talk as much as I do. But there was just this freedom of, and it was loud in there, and we were trying to,
it was so loud.
yelling these intimate things about our story and our history. But
I can't hear you. Can you repeat that?
But him trying to tell, like, it just felt like I need to share this with you. It just felt like there's a reason to connect. And so again, that doesn't happen every day. Especially the reciprocal nature of it both ways. It doesn't always happen that way. So, and I'm
sure when y'all both met each other, y'all were like, yeah, Justin hyped you up a little much, but I can work with this. Good guys. I will say that.
No, man.
I'm grateful to get to have this table.
It's funny that you said that as far as talking. Like, I guess being in church for so long and being in positions where you're meeting people that are new. It's like whether or not you have a gift of gab or not, it's like I feel like it. You have to fill it up. You kind of learn the art of trying to ask questions and hear people's story, and then I think when you began to open up and begin to get vulnerable about some stuff that you'd gone through, I was like, oh man, I've gone through some of the same pain. And that pain. It's amazing how that commonality brought us together a little bit more, and that's when I was like, okay, I can go there.
And it's because you guys, you're not just going through pain that resonates. You're actually doing the work on the pain. And so when you're talking together, you're already in the solution mindset. So it's not like this negative trauma bonding. It's like two guys who are on this journey of not, I mean, healing, yes, but we're all going through healing, but just you're getting to build up a relationship, and God uses some scars to actually be some catalyst for a great relationship. To help other people not have to go through it, or to even help them get out of stuff where they're more, they don't see the solution yet.
That's good. That's good. I think there's something about scars that are beautiful. People oftentimes with physical scars, they'll be embarrassed about them, or they don't want to show or whatever. But I think, when you meet somebody with a scar, I know we're talking about something emotional, but when you see a physical scar, there's often like that conversation. It's like a tattoo. It's like, how did you get that? What's the story about? There's a story, how did that happen? And I think emotional, mental, even spiritual scars are kind of the same way. But the scar, if you look at it, it's all about how you look at it. It's a sign of healing. It doesn't come until it's healed. So like, it may not be the prettiest thing in the world just to look at or to talk about, but it actually is a beautiful thing that represents something that you've overcome.
It's good.
And so I think a lot of times when people are willing to do that, it's a little bit of a soapbox for me, but since we're on the topic, I'll just say, the enemy is such a butt, to use your word from earlier, about how, Revelation 12:11 talks about, you overcome the enemy with the power of your testimony and the blood of the Lamb. And there's a power in the stories that we tell. That's your testimony. There's a power in that. There's a parallel, Revelation 12:11 and John 12:11, or the verses around 12:11 in John, where it's the story of it's the second story of Lazarus that most people don't talk about. We all know about the raised from the dead, but fast forward, Jesus is back in their town. And all the people are congregating. He's starting to get all the heat from the leaders and all the things. Well, Lazarus was there, and it literally talks about in those verses that people came not only to see Jesus, but they wanted to see Lazarus. And the reason, you've got Jesus, God here, but they want to see this guy. The reason they want to see him is they know him. They know he was dead. They know he was raised from the dead. They've heard the stories. They want to see him. He's the evidence of what Jesus did. He's the kind of the proof in the pudding, so to speak. And that influence of his story was so powerful that the Pharisees and the religious leaders say, let's not just kill Jesus, let's kill him too, because a lot of people are coming to Jesus because of him and because of his story. And the devil doesn't want us to tell our stories. That's why he puts shame around it. He puts embarrassment around it. He wants us to hide it under a bushel to go, there's power. But there's other verses that tell us to confess to each other, share your story. Your story has power. Revelation 12:11 says it's equal footing, the blood of the Lamb and the power of your story. And for the longest time, I was like, how's that on the same plane, the same sentence, the same level? And what I've come to learn is it's because your story is the blood of the Lamb.
Yeah,
it's the power of it in action. That's why it's sort of mentioned equally. Obviously the blood of the Lamb is the ultimate thing, but it's basically putting it right up there and go, that's your evidence of what's happened in your life. And so I think when we tell those stories, show our scars, get vulnerable about it. Every time people share stuff or confess something they're struggling with or tell a backstory or whatever, inevitably somebody goes, "Oh, me too. I didn't know someone else had that. I thought it was just me."
Yeah. And
it just breaks down all the barriers and pulls everything into the light. And that's where the real power is in divine flow.
That's so good. Well, it reminds me too, another part on that verse says, and they did not love their life so much that they weren't willing to lose it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You got to hit that point where you've just died to yourself and you're willing to bring it out there and even tell that story. Because you can protect yourself and we can guard ourselves and our image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to hit that point where Jesus says, if you try to keep your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose it, you'll find it.
Right.
And when you finally lose yourself in that moment to disclose something and to confess something, you actually are healed. The scar is formed and you do find your life. And the best part of your life will end up happening.
Yeah. 100%.
You talked about what you did, Mark. Go ahead and throw it out there. Like, how can people, if that really struck a chord with them from the coaching, the whole business that you're talking about that you're doing, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, they can find us a couple of different ways. The Roar like a lion's roar, theroar.agency.
Theroar.agency.
And if you're interested in our software stuff, it's theroar.app, app.
Okay.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and once again, we can't treat him like a guest.
No.
It was a friend hanging out with us, so we're not going to throw him all this special attention and be like, "It was great to have Mark with us today." Rhett, we can just wrap this up. Mark, seriously though, it's three friends hanging out at a table, and we're about to go hang out at another table. So it's great having both of you guys here.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
Look forward to hopefully many more conversations in the future, and who knows what this circle might continue to grow.
Who knows, man?
Over time, we'll see.
And I'm just one step closer to being part of.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He's gonna be looking for equal partnership.
All right, guys, let's go to our small group. On the next episode of Armchair Authentic. Now, those are the moments that really stood out and go, man, we did have fun yesterday, but man, there's nothing like being in the presence of God with God's people. And until you experience it, man, like I'm telling you, man, like I know people argue this all day long, but I'm not at the mercy of an argument because I had the experience.
We live in the now and the not yet. So when I say we live in the now, we have these opportunities for these extraordinary moments and these ordinary moments. You just described an extraordinary moment, and it was great. But you described this ordinary moment that was eternal. And that's all we can do right now is be in the now. When you're living in the now, I feel like the reference to Spaceballs. We're in now.
Now. When?
Just then. Right now. Now.
What happened to then? Missed it. When? Just now.
But literally, we live in the now.
Man, we cannot wait until that conversation next Monday. It's going to be so much fun. But until then, we simply want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share the link with a friend, texting it, emailing it, airdropping it. However you're doing so, it just means so much to us. Thank you for your support and your love, friends. We cannot wait to continue this journey next week right here at Armchair Authentic. Until then, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless you, and we will see you real soon.